thank you for coming out today. I've told a lot of people that the one positive that's come out of this is the outpouring of support that my whole family has gotten. We've been hearing from people all over the world, literally, on Facebook and by the phone, people coming by, people bringing us things, and it's been pretty overwhelming. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. We really appreciate it. I've spoken just in this past week to people I haven't seen in 25 or 30 years. There's people in here in the room today that I haven't seen in close to 20 years. So, thanks. I guess the main reason I'm up here is to talk about my mom and to just tell you a little bit about her. But I guess first of all, I wanted to let you know that I'm not Chris. Chris is used to getting up here and talking in front of people, and I'm not, and I'm shaking a little bit. But, I wrote this out a few days ago, and then I tried to practice it, and the more I practiced it, the worse I got. So I just kind of chucked it and left a few notes, and I'm just going to talk to you about my mom. A lot of you in here knew my mom, or at least met her. Some of you in here knew her a long time before I was even thought of. We've been hearing stories about my mom that have been pretty entertaining. But I'm going to just tell you about the mom that I knew, the Carole that I knew. Anybody who knew my mom knew that she was extremely creative and artistic and talented. But what a lot of people don't know is that she was self-taught with everything she did. She was a singer, she was an artist, she was a seamstress. There's a christening gown out front that she actually made for my cousins without having any instruction whatsoever. She was best known as a cake decorator, though. She made cakes for just about anybody that she knew at some point got a cake from her. She made her first wedding cake when she was actually 9 years old. It was a 3-tiered wedding cake, and she used toilet paper rollers for the columns. And the toilet paper rollers kind of become a recurring theme for her, but I'll tell you about that in a little bit. She sold the cakes, and that was her career for a while. And my dad used to take the cakes to work, and it became so big that it was 10 or 15 cakes a week, and he became known as the cake man because everybody knew where to get them. And I grew up in a house that was always full of cake and icing and cookies and homemade candy and a lot of other things that are the reason that we weren't skinny people. She made wedding cakes in particular that were really beautiful. There's some pictures up front of some of that I could find the pictures of. But one cake that always stood out to me was one that she made for me when I was about 7 or 8 or so. She made a Pirate Island birthday cake for me. And it was about this big or so. And it was made of multiple cakes of all different shapes and sizes that had been put on their sides and carved and turned into a mountain and a cove with a pirate ship and a cave with its buried treasure in it. And that's just one that always will stick out to me. But Mom wasn't only limited to her cakes. She was artistic in many ways. For the majority of my life, she was a stay-at-home mom. And she was always a very interactive, involved mom that kept my sister and I busy doing projects of every kind you could think of. She was extremely artistic, and in her eyes, anything could be turned into something else. For example, we used to take those little spiky ball things that fall off of trees. I used to think they were cottonwood trees, but I think it's sweet gum or something like that. But we would turn them into spiders for Halloween. And they would have googly eyes and pipe cleaner legs. And those were the type of projects that she would teach Leslie and I to make. And in her eyes, pine cones weren't pine cones. They were Christmas decorations and ornaments and bird feeders. And rocks got painted, coat hangers became mobiles. Potatoes got carved into little rubber stamps that we would stamp onto ink pads and make our own stamps. Crayons were melted into stained glass windows. Plates weren't just plates, they were tambourines, or they were flying saucers or something. Everything was something else. And this was all done long before the days of Pinterest. I can't imagine how insane our house would have been if Pinterest had been around. But her favorite was always the toilet paper rollers. I don't know why, but toilet paper rollers became maracas and Christmas present packaging and puppets and toucans and reindeer and pretty much everything you can think of, and then some more because she could think of more things than you and I put together. She had a mind that never stopped doing that type of stuff. And we were constantly doing art projects. Her big time of year when she went particularly nutty was Christmas. She was kind of a Christmas fanatic, so much so I kind of got sick of Christmas for a long time. But she wasn't content to have a Christmas tree. We had to have a Christmas tree in every single room of the house. Even the bathrooms had Christmas trees. And it wasn't just trees. We had trains and life-size Santas and villages and manger scenes and animated reindeer and everything indoor and outdoor. And for some reason, it always came down on us to take all of it down after Christmas. She loved putting it up, just not taking it back down. One year we had 3 Christmas trees that hung upside down from the ceiling, like teardrops, and they would all spin and rotate, and people would come by looking at them because they were in the front window. I'll never forget one Christmas in particular. She and Santa worked together, and they redid mine and my sister's bedrooms. And Leslie and I decided that we were going to try to trick Mom into letting us sleep on the living room floor because that was going to be the year that we caught Santa Claus. And my mom, of course, let us do it, but we never saw Santa Claus. We slept right through it. But the following morning, she had us get up and go check our bedrooms. When we didn't know what it was, we thought we were in trouble for something. I remember I went to my room, and it wasn't my room anymore. My room was a jungle. And it had a canopy over my bed made out of bamboo and fish nets. And in the fish nets were real seahorses and seashells, and there were lanterns that she had made out of jars that were night lights, where I could push a button and turn on the lanterns at nighttime. And there were palm trees that she had made. There was a big stuffed animal gorilla named Big Jake, about that big, and a little Jake also. And I've still got the sign that was on it that said Tommy's Animal Island, because back in those days before I grew up and was too big for Tommy, that was my name, and until 4th grade. And I'll probably always have that hanging in my house, no matter where I live. But my sister's room was done to look kind of like a princess suite, I guess is how you would describe it. It was all white and everything was done in lace and flowers. Her night lights were these wicker bird cages that had white doves in them and flowers. And to be honest, I don't remember as much about her bedroom as my bedroom, except for this China doll that she had that scared the bejesus out of me. But my mom had turned my room, and Santa, the two of them together, had turned my room into a combination of my love of animals and my worship of my hero, Gilligan. And I didn't know her bedroom as much because I spent all of my time hanging out with Gilligan trying to figure out how to escape from my bedroom. But they did a good job on Christmas that year, and it's one that we'll never forget. But one of the things that's really great things about my mom is that she wasn't content just teaching Leslie and I how to do these things. She had to teach all of the other kids too, and I mean every kid that she came into contact with. She was my Cub Scout den mother. She was Leslie's Girl Scout leader. Every year she was the classroom mom or homeroom mom or whatever you call that parent that goes into the classroom when they have parties and projects and whenever they would let her in the front door of the building. Only when she was involved, she didn't just bring Cokes and cookies or something like a lot of parents do. She would actually make hats for the kids and neckties for the kids and aprons, and what would normally be a glorified snack break would become a full-blown theme party with music and decorations and party favors. She had this box that she made about this big that had a hole in the top of it, and you could reach down into the hole and pick out a prize on your birthday. And she did this for every single kid in the entire class. It had a birthday party that my mom hosted, and that was pretty much every year back then. So she tried to spread it around with everybody. She was involved in everything we did and even things that we didn't do. She did parties for classes we weren't even in. She hosted and catered dances for the high school when we were in middle school and elementary school. She decorated the hallways in school. She was always involved in church. Pretty much any activity that was there, she was in the middle of it. She led Vacation Bible School. She made Christmas decorations for at least 2 different churches. Those are these real fancy white decorations that are made of ribbons and gold and silver and stuff. They're really pretty. She sang in the choir. She helped with church plays. when we lived in Oklahoma, she was in a gospel quartet that sang, and you name it, and she was involved with it. My dad used to always say that no matter where we went, we were the first ones there and the last ones to leave. And it's because my mom was always there talking to somebody about some project or plotting what the next one was going to be. And my poor dad was usually saying it because it was Sunday afternoon and the football game was starting. And he just wanted to get out and see the game, but we had to wait for mom. She took an interest in anything that we did. She didn't care about basketball, but when I played basketball, she was a fan. She learned how the rules of basketball worked when she honestly could not have cared less. She followed softball when Leslie played softball for years. She never missed a game. Leslie got into band, concert band and marching band for a long time. And she wasn't content to just sit in the stands and cheer. She had to be the band mom that catered parties, that chaperoned field trips, that did this and did that and was in the middle of everything. I can't even tell you how many monster movies she watched with me. And I know that she couldn't have cared less about Dracula and the Wolfman. But even after watching, we would sit together and draw pictures of monsters because she knew that I liked them. When I was in high school, I got into heavy metal music a lot, and I still am. And poor Dad, he just didn't get it. He thought it was noise. And we never could play it in the car when Dad was with us. But when it was just Mom, she would let me play the music, and I could play it loud. And she would even learn some of the words and sing along. And she acted like she liked it, but I never really thought that she was an Anthrax fan like she said she was. But now maybe New Kids on the Block, that was Leslie's band, and I think she actually kind of liked that band. But basically, we were her life from the 70s onward. Whatever we were doing, she was doing. I remember being afraid of lightning storms. And whenever there was lightning, we would go into my mom's bed, and we would lay in the bed with her, and she had a big window at the head of the bed. And we would watch God's fireworks outside the window, and suddenly the lightning wasn't as scary, because she was always good at protecting us from the things that went bump in the night, like that stupid China doll. I remember one time when I was about 6 or 7, that these big people, and by big people I mean 12 or 13-year-old girls, told me about this movie called The Shining. And it had this guy that stopped down the front door and said, "Here's Johnny," and I never even saw the movie until I was in college, but I was freaked out. And for weeks, I would pile furniture in front of the front door and try to climb into Mom and Dad's bedroom or bed. I guess I never thought he was going to come in through the back door for some reason. After about the first week, she started to go and sleep in my bed with me, and she would stay in there until I would fall asleep, and then the plan was that she would get up and go back to her room. And she did this knowing, fully aware that at any moment I could pee right down her leg, because I was a peer back then. But she braved it out. And every morning she would wake up and I'd be back at the foot of their bed laying on the floor. But all I know is that for an entire month I survived being chopped up because of my mom. But I don't want to make it sound like she was a perfect woman. My mom had some faults that, or maybe we'd call them quirks. And if you want to know what they were like, you just have to know me, because I inherited every single one of them. Basically the good and the bad, I've pretty much become my mom. Mom was a dreamer and an idea person. She didn't think in small terms. She would get an idea, and before you know it, it was overblown and out of proportion, and half the time didn't even end up happening because it got so big. For example, she loved books, and she wanted to have books and a library in the house. But she wasn't content just having a bookshelf with books on it. She had that, and several of them. But we also had file cabinets and magazine racks and microfiche readers and all this stuff that no sane person needs to have in their library, because she didn't halfway do anything. And now if you go to my house, you'll see that I've turned my spare bedroom into a library just like hers, except without the microfiche reader. But she was impulsive, very impulsive, and that's where I got it from. If you know me, you know I am too. She and Dad used to watch poker a lot on TV, and she got the idea that she wanted my dad to teach all of us how to play poker, and we were going to play poker together. But again, she didn't just buy cards. She had to try to build a freaking casino in the house. She bought cards and poker chips and poker glasses and poker plates and poker napkins and a poker table. And in the end, they never even came out of the box because she got interested in something else before it came time to make the focus. And if you know me, you can see a reflection of her. I have 7 guitars and don't even know how to play them, but I was going to learn that one week. If you're one of the people in the room, and there's a few of you here who have ever helped us move, you probably still have night sweats thinking about all of the boxes of stuff that my mom had, because she was a hoarder. That was just before her time. It was a TV show about hoarders. If she ever owned it, it stayed hers until her last day. Dad and I have both said our fair share of cuss words, moving boxes around and breaking our backs. But I'm finding now, as I'm going through stuff, that I'm actually glad that she did save things, because I'm finding tons and tons of old pictures, for example, pictures from my childhood, pictures from my parents' childhoods, pictures that go all the way back to 1907 so far, and pictures that I have no clue who the people are in them, that I'm going to have to get people to help me with. I'm finding old school assignments that Leslie and I did. Basically, all of our kindergarten and our first grade and our second grade are in our basement right now. And one good thing that I like is that while a lot of my friends had moms who threw away their toys when they got too big for them, I still have all of mine because my mom knew to hold on to them. And I got pretty lucky there. But basically, I became my mom. And if you ever help me move in the future, I am working on getting rid of some of the stuff, but I just have to warn you that I'm a hoarder too. My stuff's just a little cooler than hers, but there's still a lot of it. I became my mom just with a little more facial hair. And in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot worse things that I could have become than my mom. I'm gonna miss my mom. I'm gonna miss the laughter and the creative energy, always kinetic with her ideas, her loving nature, her helpful nature. She would help anybody that she thought needed it, and sometimes people who didn't need it. I'm gonna miss having somebody to talk to about my ideas, somebody that I could express my creativity to, someone who would get excited about the things that excite me. Just gonna miss talking to her. Mom's sickness was both a blessing and a curse. For the most part, she always remained herself. And on the one hand, it was really rough spending 8 or 9 years watching her slowly get worse and worse and watching her fade away. But on the other, in a really selfish way, we got to hold on to her longer. And it's making it easier to deal with now. But like I said, she stayed herself the whole time. Before she started getting sick, she got the idea to use those toilet paper rollers again. And she was going to make an Advent calendar type project for Ashlyn, her first granddaughter. And she was going to have it where Ashlyn would get a present each day of the month up until Christmas, and they would be wrapped in those toilet paper rollers. But before it could actually happen, her mind started slipping. And she didn't know why she was saving the toilet paper rollers. But she still kept saving them anyway. And we had toilet paper rollers everywhere. They were drawers full of them, boxes under the bed full of them. We would step on them in the middle of the night. Dad and I threw away toilet paper rollers right and left. But it seemed like every time we threw away a toilet paper roller, she had a dozen more of them. And I don't know where they came from because nobody uses that much toilet paper. But the thing about her is that even though her memory was fading and she was just a shell of herself, she still knew that she needed to be creative and artistic and express herself that way. And the big thing is that she still knew that she was doing it for the kids, because the kids were everything to her. I got really lucky that the night before my mom passed, I was able to say goodbye to her. She hadn't talked in 2 or 3 days at that point. And for some reason, I thought to say, "Good night, Mom, I love you." And she moaned back at me, just went, "Mm." And it was the first noise she had made in 3 days. And then I said, "I'll see you tomorrow." And she did it again. And I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, but I really think that she heard me. and she was responding. And that was the last time I spoke to my mom. I found her the next morning. But those are all things that I'm going to remember about my mom. And I hope I've given you a little bit of an idea of what type of person she was. Because I'm really going to miss her. And I hope people will remember those things about her. Sorry it took so long, but thank you.